Hi, my name is Ian Roy, and I'm one of the executive producers for Absolut Empires Ball. We were supposed to have our Pride episode today with Kuwana Style, but we decided that we needed to push another week and actually have a proper conversation around the Black Lives Matter movement and why it's important to support the initiative in any way that you can. And with me today, I have two special guests. The first one is Manny Dingo, who is one of our breakout stars from Empires Ball last year. Manny was also a part of our Instagram Live when we went Drag Coast to Coast Live on Instagram and killed it. And I also have with me Sanjay, who's an activist who works adjacent Black Lives Matters and does a lot of work for inclusivity and ending racism. And we're just gonna see how best we can help you understand what's happening if you don't understand, and how you can be a part of the movement and be a part of the conversation in a constructive way. So how are you guys feeling? Like, Manny, how has it been for you?
I'm not gonna lie, it's been hard. I've kind of secluded myself inside of myself. I'm trying to make sure that I am constantly supporting my Black friends, especially my Black queer and trans friends. So that's pretty much where I've been and how I've been.
Sanjay, what about you? How's it been?
To be the most honest with you, it's been overwhelming. It's a lot to take in. I think everything happened so quickly. Like it went from 0 to 1,000,000 just in a snap of a finger. So it's been overwhelming. It's just about now trying to decompress as well as still taking in everything and just making sure that the right things are being done at this time, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, same. And from my perspective, like, I moved to Canada from Trinidad and Tobago, and I chose Canada because I felt like it was safer for me to be Black and queer here. And it's been hard dealing with what I'm seeing in the US, hard understanding the Canadian perspective, and then watching people from home kind of gaslight the situation and spread total inaccuracies. Sanjay, can you tell us a little bit more about what Black Lives Matters is about and what the movement is about and how we got here?
Black Lives Matter is the same as we all know. It's a group of people that came together just to fight the injustice of black people, especially Black youth as well, in the community, in the country. Um, right now, the biggest fight, what the biggest fight has been for the longest while, is police brutality against Blacks, as well as just the system, the injustice of the system. And that's what we're trying to fight. We're trying to get equality for all.
And Manny, what does that look like for you as a Black entertainer, a Black queer entertainer? What does that look like in your world?
Well, it affects me in many different ways. I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia. So Halifax and Nova Scotia has the biggest Black community, yet the queer scene does not reflect that at all. And when I first started doing drag, I felt like Manny Dingo was an important name. And then as I was starting to become more in the scene, I realized that, the scene just wasn't inclusive enough. So I started putting on my own show supporting performers of color, which we called SPOC. And so I feel very much that drag is political, and being visible is a very important part of why I feel like that is my part in doing, to make sure that queer Black folks see myself, because I didn't get to see anybody who looked like me. So I feel like that's the way that I interpret it as a performer, is taking up space, but also making sure that there's enough space for other performers, and speaking about these injustices that we put on performers who are incredibly talented and Black and queer and trans, to make sure that they are, getting the same amount of time on the stage as other performers as well.
How do people of color and Indigenous people and queer people get involved in the movement? Like, what are some of the ways that they can get involved and try to make a difference to push the equality and the ending of systemic racism, especially when it pertains to the police and police brutality? What are some of the things we should be doing?
Well, from what we've been seeing, especially over the past week to 2 weeks, I've come to understand not everyone is able to be a frontline person. Like, not everyone is open to protesting and being on the front lines and being in people's faces, going to these meetings and stuff like that. I'm kind of one of them. I'm more of the behind the scenes kind of person. So there's so many organizations that works alongside with Black Lives Matter that you can volunteer with. You can donate. You have forums, there's petitions going around right now that can be signed. There are a lot of panel discussions going on right now where we want your voices to be heard. We want everyone to come out and let your voices be heard. When we want to hear from everyone, we want to hear from the youth, we want to hear from the adults, we want to hear from everyone in the queer community, we want to hear from the indigenous persons, especially the indigenous persons, because again, in Canada, until we fix the problem that we have with the indigenous people, we can't fix the overall problem with everyone else. Because it starts there. It starts with them. We're also encouraging persons. There are a lot of phone line. There's a lot of information going on right now. Reach out to your member of parliament. They are like the direct link to the government right now. Reach out to them. Air your grievances. Like, let them know, like, this is what needs to happen. This is what we want to happen. And this is how you are going to make this country and this community better for us. So there's so many things that persons can do. It's just for you to reach out. You can access like the Black Lives Matter website. They're definitely active on Twitter a lot. There's a lot of information that will go around. And Instagram. So social media is also important. Everyone's on social media every day. So take advantage of it. Use it. And the information is always circling. But it's just to reach out to the right person. There's a lot to be done. And the more everyone does, is the less one person has to do. And the more the job gets done.
I think my next question is, and a lot of my friends who aren't from a minority group can't really understand where we're at and our positioning and how to help and how to be useful without virtue signaling. I know I'm in a interracial relationship, and I've had a hard time talking to my partner who is white about how I feel right now, and sometimes just being like, I can't talk to you about this right now. And like, what are some of your thoughts? What are some things that Manny, you would like white people to understand when dealing with us right now, when we're grieving and we're feeling so much pain?
I would like white people to understand that, they shouldn't expect an applause. They shouldn't expect a reply. They should not expect too much from their Black or people of color, like of their POC friends, because I find there's a lot of people reaching out and I appreciate that, but I don't have the energy right now for that. And I just want them to do the work, to do the research, to know that their work is appropriate, to check in with, all these things, because there's a lot of conversation going around, especially right now amongst people and white people, especially white queer folks, in regards to white guilt. And that is something where I don't have the energy to deal with it. And I feel like they should have this conversation amongst themselves and to be able to mediate themselves. So I feel like at this point, we've given them all the resources, the information, the energy. I just wish that they can do it for themselves. I mean, all of these resources are done by Black folks who have put together these resources because of the reactions that white people do have in regards to these issues and their guilt. So I just feel like they should follow up with the resources.
For our allies, my biggest thing right now is that they need to understand it. Right now, it's not about you. Like right now, in this moment, it is really not about you. Thank you for reaching out to us. Thank you for trying to comfort us. We need it because we're tired. We are tired. We are beaten up. We are drained. But we know that we still have to fight. And the more people on our side, the better it is for us. And I also need them to understand this is not the time for your marketing ploys. This is not time to bank off of us. That's just capitalism at its finest. And that's the problem with the system. And that's the system we're trying to break, the system we're trying to get out of. We're like, yeah, we appreciate you reaching out. We appreciate you doing your homework. We appreciate you wanting to fight for us. But it's something that should have been done, because at the end of the day, the persons that are persecuting us, they are your brethren. They're your family. They are your bloodline. So they will listen to you before they listen to us. So we need you to talk to them to say, hey, they're humans too. Not because the skin color is different means they're different. They're humans too. So we need you to keep doing what you're doing. If you have questions, there's something you don't understand, and because they're just things that we of people of color, they're just certain things we can explain that someone else can't. So I understand the questions. I understand them coming to us for help and advice, but I think this is a time for them to be sensitive to us. If we say we can't talk or we don't feel like talking, don't get mad, don't get upset, don't say what about me, because it's really not about you right now. And I mean, my brother right now is in a interracial relationship. They have children. So having this conversation right now with my nieces and nephews, I can totally understand it is difficult because they they kind of see they're kind of now singing. We have sheltered them from saying you're different. We've sheltered them from that for so long that now is the time we were like, okay, you look this way, but you're actually this way. Like explaining that to my niece is very difficult. Like, you look this way, but you're actually black, and people are going to treat you black. There's just going to come a time where they're not going to see you as a princess anymore. They're going to see you as a black woman, and they're going to start treating you differently. And I've seen a lot of videos of persons having these conversations with their kids, especially interracial kids. And I've seen kids break down and cry because you're telling them what's happening and then you're explaining them the background, and it hurts their feelings. And when you see children cry like that, it's supposed to tell you that there's something wrong in the world. There's something that has been going wrong, and there's something wrong and something needs to be changed. But it's if it's sometimes we want to talk and we can't talk to our partners, especially when we're in an interracial relationship, and it's understandable. It's just that you got to communicate to them and be like, right now is not the time, but don't think I love you any less. It's just not the time. I just need you to have my back. I need you to support me, and I need you to keep fighting for me. Don't see this as me pushing you away. We are fighting to make the world a better place for our future, so that if we do have kids and our kids are interracial, they don't have to go through the sugar that we're going through. Because who would have thought, my grandmother said this to me, she's like, I didn't think you guys would still be fighting this fight that I fought. They're like, we did not think we would have still seen our children, not even children, our grandchildren and great-grandchildren still fighting this fight. And it's heartbreaking when they're talking to us and we have to be talking to them about it. But you know what? The power of technology, right? Now we see, right now we are now experiencing the largest civil rights movement. Like we are history in the making. Our generation and the one to follow we now have the ability to make the biggest change in the world since the Reagan administration. And that is what we want to do. We want to keep this fight. We are angry, and I want us to stay angry until we start seeing the change that we want to see. We want to know that tomorrow life is better than it was yesterday.
What can we do to keep our community more accountable, and how can we have more impact to keep this movement going?
Black people need to stay angry. They need to stay angry until they see the change they want. But with that, we have to start within ourselves. We got to start being the change we want to see, and that's what we're not understanding. Because you don't know how heartbreaking it was for me to see that there was a group of people at a protest. They go into a convenience store, see a trans woman and want to beat on her. Why do you think this is okay? And then when white people see this, they're like, they don't like each other anyway, so why should we like them? Like, this is what is heartbreaking to me. And we need to learn to support our own. Until we start supporting our own people, start supporting our community, we're never going to get what we want. They're going to keep giving us smoke screens and giving us daisies and flowers and sprinkles, covering up stuff, and then say, once they see that we're satisfied, it's back to business as usual. No, what we are fighting for right now is to change the system. You know what? Somebody said the system isn't broken, and they're right. The system is not broken. The system works for who it was made for, and it was just not made for us. So we need to change the system. We need to ensure that the system is changed so that it works for us, We need to change the system so it accommodates us. I'm all here for protests, rioting, and whatever, because, it's a way to get the attention that we need. But what are we doing differently from what our great grandparents and parents and people and other people before us did? This is not the first time protests are happening. It's not the first time people are rioting for Black rights. It's just that we don't stay angry. We take the sugar coating that they give us and we satisfy and we settle with it and we move on. We need to stop. We need to stop doing that. We need to start ensuring that change is actually happening. That's what we need to do. That's how we keep this going. Black people need to stay angry until we get what we want. We are now in the demanding phase. We are demanding change. We don't want it anymore. We are now demanding it. And until we see change, we should keep protesting. There should be a protest. Unfortunately, Corona, I'm not liking the Corona, but we need to keep protesting, keep causing mayhem, keep the hashtags going. No justice, no peace. Enough is enough. It is us or else. All these hashtags need to keep going. They need to keep having these Blackout Tuesdays. Stop supporting these white businesses. Stop giving them our money. We spend too much money on these other businesses and forget that we have a whole community of people trying to make it on their own and they never make it because we don't support them. And if we don't support them, the whites are not going to support them because the whites are like, they're giving us our money. I was so mad that Black people were upset that people rioted Gucci store. What is Gucci doing for you? Gucci donated what, $500,000? No, Michael Jordan donated 10 million over 10 years. That is what we want. That is what we need. The schools need it, the youth need it, the communities need it. We need to stay angry. We need to keep pushing. We need to keep fighting. We should not take the sugarcoating. There's still, the injustice is still happening every day. Black men are still being persecuted even now, even though we're fighting. The police are like, you know what? Y'all white people want to join the fight, we're going to fight you back too. Because at the end of the day, they don't want to change the system. But we need to ensure that the system gets changed.
How do I, as a person of color, know what protests are safe for me, what peaceful demonstrations are safe for me? What are some of the things that I should look for?
So Black Lives Matter did put out a statement. They ensured they put it out on Friday that none of the protests the past weekend they were affiliated with. So they will do that. They will let you know ahead of time what they're affiliated with, what they're not affiliated with. To be honest with you, I'm not sure about Saturdays because I'm still unclear of who is behind the protest on Saturday. Thank God it was peaceful, and thank God all the protests over the weekend were peaceful. But we still don't know who put on these protests, who it is. We know for the one on Friday, it's a grassroots organization, but unfortunately, it's white people. That protest to me is a definition of capitalism. And funny enough, an Italian man explained it to me why it is capitalism. Not a Black man, an Italian, an old Italian white man. He said, why would a white man pick up a Black man's problem, make it their own problem, use the Black man to fix the problem, but capitalize on it for themselves? And that's exactly what happened on Friday. That protest on Friday was a PR stunt for the police. Thank God it was peaceful. Hopefully a message was sent out and hopefully a message was received. But at the end of the day, that was the police covering their ass.
What do we as persons of color need to ask and look for things that we want to align ourselves with?
The website is very important. Always check the back, especially now. Keep up to date with the information. Check the website and social media. Social media right now is crucial. Twitter is still a big platform. A lot of information is exchanged on Twitter because that's how we found out, like, the main person behind that organization, March for Change, is actually a white man, and he works very closely with the police department. And then the Black man that they use as the face is also a head of a security company that works alongside with the police department.
Gotcha.
Do you hear the setup? Do we need to go any further into showing you how much of a setup that was? Pay attention to your social media because that's, to be honest, that's right now it's going to be the easiest form and the easiest way information is going to be relayed because you're not going to have time to always be sending out emails and reaching out to people individually. It's too many persons to reach out to. Social media, everybody has at least one.
Manny, what are next steps for people engaging queer entertainers, and what would you like people in the entertainment industry to do to bridge that gap, because to me, entertainment is one of the biggest things that can change culture in the world. So what do you want to see, and what kind of things do you want to hold people accountable for as a Black entertainer?
So a lot of times when they do book Black performers or people of color for their shows, they expect, especially right now, they expect us to speak about our experiences. But I don't think we should be expected if it's a form of entertainment, because most of the times performing is healing for us, and to be visible is most of the time our protest. I do have a lot of performances where I do speak about being Black, and I do talk a lot about being from the largest Black settled community, and I do talk about my name and what it means to me, and what it behind of what it what Manny Dingo means. But I just want to see more people of color be celebrated for their entertainment and their art. But that doesn't also mean, because they can still celebrate us and celebrate the entertainment that we give, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they respect or know that our life matters. So I just would like to see some pep in their step. If they think that just booking us is going to do just that, it's not. It's going to have to be the conversations within their own selves of how they're why they're booking us. And there's actually the House of Kings and we did this document where we answered a whole bunch of questions about how we're going to be supporting the Black Lives Matter movement as a production team, and how we're going to continue to make sure that our spaces are safe for performers of color, and to make sure that our audience is always reflected within our cast, which is something that we fully acknowledge. And these questions, they were pretty transparent. We aired out what has happened in the last few years of House of Kings being a production team, and things that have fallen through the cracks that we want to make sure that is going to be better in the future. So we're holding ourselves accountable in that way. And I implore any producers to make sure that they are doing the same thing. And this document with questions, this was only for the bar venues. And it's something that can be extended amongst other forms of entertainment, and the ways that these production teams are booking the performers within these establishments too. So I feel like there's countless ways, but I feel like the most important way is to hold accountability, so that way we can see this done in the future. Because I think that's holding ourselves accountable is the most important thing.
Yeah, thanks for that, Manny. And I hope that you hold us accountable. I try to be very transparent. You know my style. I think a lot of people don't realize that one half of the executive production of this is actually Black. But that's because I don't really like to be in front of the scene. But I did see that document, and we'll post a link to it as well in this video for people who watch. It's something that we have taken on. I saw when Alex posted it, and I was like, this is what we need to see to hold people accountable. And this is the litmus test that I want to make sure that anything I do is accountable. And I think you made a really good point that we need to let people of color express their art first, because your art is first, and give you space to do that. And I love it. That's one of the things I love about Empires Ball. I saw stuff last year that made me cry, watching Babia's transformation from a Disney princess into a Disney prince blew my mind. Watching people like you perform, watching Ivory, and that's what I love about the competition. And what I enjoy is, I think, the claiming of space for non-white cisgender people in the village. And Sanjay, for you, what does the activism side of this look like? And how can we marry entertainment and activism to have impact?
So to be honest, I like that question, because the great thing about entertainment is that no matter what it is, sports, music, shows, it brings people together. For that moment in time, it's like people forget that there's differences, because they're just enjoying the show that's in front of them. So entertainment brings people together, and that's one of the most important things about activism, right? You always want to bring people together, and how you marry it is, right now, with every chance we get, the best thing to do is just drop that little message there. It doesn't have to be aggressive, and it doesn't have to be political. It's just, dropping a message, dropping a nugget, dropping a little tip of information. Because education, knowledge is power, right? And we always have to educate people. Because one of the things that I've been finding out lately about the younger generation, including ourselves, us millennials, there's a lot we don't know. We're fighting a fight, but there's a lot about this fight that we don't know. So we're getting bits and pieces of information, and sometimes that makes us ignorant to certain things because we don't know. So the more we know, it's the better we fight. It's the more we're equipped and the more armed we are to fight this fight. So entertainment is like a good thing. It's the best thing ever. So I really like putting entertainment and activism together. It works. It's the best way to get people out. It's the best way to spread the message. It's the best way to entertain persons. And it's the best way to marry people of color with our allies so that everybody is getting the same information. Everyone is being educated and armed with the same thing.
To kind of summarize, education, giving people room to perform and celebrate their blackness without having to make them political, accountability, inclusion, and activism on your terms is kind of what I want everyone to take away from this. There's a lot of resources on blacklivesmatter.ca.
Mm-hmm.
The onus is on you to educate yourself. Like, that's your responsibility. Educate yourself and then ask questions and then find a form of activism that works right for you. Support your queer entertainers, support your black entertainers, support your trans and your non-binary entertainers. Don't forget it's Pride Month, and we would not be here with gay rights if it wasn't for trans black women. Never forget that. So it's all well and good to be in your tank top or whatever you want to do to celebrate Pride. But just remember where it came from. And right now, especially black trans women are most at risk of being killed right now. So do your due diligence, educate yourself, and do something. And if you see people that are counter this agenda, call them out. Don't send it to me. Don't ask me to call them out for you. Those are your friends. You need to talk to them and hold them accountable. If you want help with that, then ask me. But the job is on you. I want to thank Manny and I want to thank Sanjay for taking the time to talk to us today. I think it has been very powerful. For me, it has been very healing because I've been holding on to this anger for about a week and a half, and I'm trying not to give myself a stroke. Thank you guys so much for talking to me today and for helping me craft this message. And thanks for being open to discuss with us, because we are producers and we are entertainers, and making sure that we are held accountable and that we are supporting in the right way. Thank you guys so much. I can't begin to express again how healing this has been. And I look forward to working with you guys in the future. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.